Welcome to Season 7 of CX in the Wild. We're happy to have you back on the adventure with us again.
Welcome to CX in the Wild. Thank you so much for being on the show here in Customer Contact Week live in Las Vegas. Let's start with who you are and what you do.
Kathy Phelps. I live in Salt Lake City, Utah. And I started C-lect Consulting back in 2002 as a technology consultant, specializing in voice and data. And it's slowly, over the years, migrated into the CX space and customer service, customer experience, cybersecurity. We still dabble in all technologies.
And let's talk about a lot has happened in the last 4 years. I feel like anyone who was an expert 5 years ago, myself included, probably had to learn a lot of new things in the last few years.
Yes.
What's been your experience in the shift in the industry?
I actually think it's fascinating, and it's been really fun to watch, especially with AI coming into the picture. I think it's fascinating to watch the nervousness of the clients, not knowing what to expect and how it's going to affect them and change basically their paychecks at the end of the day. I feel like I kind of went through that same shift with my career, starting out with voice and data. And a client of mine actually gave me the book, Who Moved My Cheese?
Oh, yeah, I love that book.
I do too. And he probably saved my career because I was really a creature of habit. And that I would stay in voice and data forever and ever, not realizing it was a commodity and was going to go away. So read the book and realized I needed to make a change or I'd be left in the cold.
Yep.
So.
You know, I read that book too, and it's so important. And more than ever, you bring up a great connection between that book and the present day, which is people get complacent or they get used to or they feel like a sense of accomplishment because they survived the last round of changes, whether it's technology or economic or otherwise. But the fact of the matter is, we've got to keep our tennis shoes on and keep those babies laced up and ready to go because so much is going to change. I feel like I was talking to someone earlier today, the post-COVID was one thing, but now the entire world is getting both bigger and smaller at the same time. So many changes. Enough about me. What would you like to talk about today? This is your podcast.
This is my podcast? Oh, wow. So many questions. So, see, and I could interview you.
Yeah.
That's how I liked it. This is why I love this business, is really I sit down and I'm talking with people, communicating. I like to hear about their life experiences. And then somehow I've turned it into a business. So, and I love it. And it's customer experience. It's my experience. It's agent experience.
Let's talk about
let's
talk about your business of customer experience. What exactly is that? What do you do?
So I started out and I would just find out what people's pain points were. So whether it was problems with having their network go down, and then I would say, tell me what is that like? What is it like to have your network go down? And when you start hearing about the pain and the stress behind their experience, I want to find the solutions to help make it easier for them. So started out with very simple things like voice and data, built my career on long distance, which obviously has changed over the years, and then moved into more of the contact center space, software solutions, cybersecurity, all of it. But it all comes back down to having that personal relationship where I ask the clients, how can I make your life easier? What's keeping you up at night? And that's how I
What is keeping people up at night?
Right now, I think the hottest thing is cybersecurity.
Thank God you didn't say AI.
No, and I think a lot of people are confused about AI, and they say, we don't understand how it works, and we need to have an AI plan. But they don't realize all the different facets that go into AI and how they're probably using AI right now and don't even realize it. But
is there anything that isn't getting touched by AI? I mean,
No.
I can't even drive my car. I can't even get from my house to the airport without AI these days.
Exactly. And every time you look on a new website and then you have 100 ads about shoes, I mean, that's all AI driven.
Yeah.
And so it shouldn't be as scary as it is. If you're going to get scared, be afraid of the people that are fishing for your personal information.
So yeah, let's talk about cybersecurity. So that's also a big term and word. Do you want to demystify that for the audience?
Well, I don't know if I can demystify it because it's constantly changing as well. And it seems like the bad guys are getting smarter and more creative every day. And it is scary. To me, it's the scariest thing out there because our customers are coming to us and they're coming to the different BPOs and they're giving their information and they expect that you're going to keep it secure. Mm-hmm. And again, going back to the relationships, I don't want to let people down. And I think if I have a company that I'm working with, that I'm trusting and buying their product or their services, I expect them not to let me down by having my information get out there.
Yeah.
So it's a scary thing because we are constantly being bombarded by spam and phishing attacks and whether it's financial or just malicious. That's the scariest thing I think we're faced with.
What a strange world we live in with security. On one hand, there's people trying to breach my data, get my personal profile information, etc. Meanwhile, I will post a picture of every restaurant I visit, everywhere I am with my latitude and longitude in the JPEG. So I don't even know who's crazier. People as a society just blasting all of our information out there, but at the same time, scammers trying to harvest it. It's a weird, wild, wild west out there these days.
It's crazy. And when you go onto social media where they're asking you, oh, what's your favorite food? What's your favorite restaurant? Or tell us this. What's your dog's name? And it seems very harmless. All of these questions about how many tattoos do you have? Or your first concert you ever went to. They're just gathering that information, but we're handing them the keys to the castle. There's a fine line between being paranoid and being cautious and safe.
Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you.
Exactly.
So you bring up some interesting things about filling out these questionnaires and cybersecurity. I think that what is also interesting is I want to get to this idea of security. What does that mean? Because it's like, how long is a piece of string? And I'll give you an example. I publish a lot on social media. I will tell you I've had my own stalker by now. Somebody who's stalked me at conferences. It's been very unpleasant. Mm-hmm. And this guy was not very pleasant. And I must block at least 5 to 10 people a day on my phone or social media just to keep up with the influx. And on top of that, so that's on one side of the boundary. But on the other, I don't monitor my own email. I have a team. They monitor my email, my chats, my DMs. So I'm not even my own person necessarily uniquely online. So on one hand, I have strangers in my email constantly reading and responding to my email. I am the same with my DMs. I'm an introvert, believe it or not. So I try to keep to myself. And at the same time, I have all this public information out there. And I'm trying to also protect myself from scammers. How do I make heads or tails of any of this?
It's funny that we're talking about this because as I'm walking past the different booths, people are yelling out, "Hey, Kathy." And naturally you turn around and you want to be friendly. It's like, where did I connect? And really all they're doing is they're gathering the information. They glanced at our name tags, but they're using that to build that rapport, that relationship. And you've already opened up the door. So it's a great sales tactic. So I've got this, I'm torn between being a salesperson and doing my own little cyber stalking on different clients and trying to gather information to help so I can further my career and get in the door. And it's funny because I will look on Facebook and different things and see what connection I may have so I can use it to help start that conversation. But it's a fine line. It's a fine line between, am I a stalker? Am I a salesperson? And I'm with you. I've had a few people that I've had to block over the years that have turned it into but that's cybersecurity. And so you have to have that security. You've got to keep that balance of keeping your information private as well as still putting yourself out there. It's a fine line.
It really is. One of the ways we deal with it in my house is we have a differentiation. So my stage persona, the family calls Darren. And me, I'm Dennis. Mm-hmm. I'm just like dad, kids, stay at home, introvert. Darren gets on stage, goes out to these things, is extroverted. And so there's not just cybersecurity, but there's mental health security and separating your persona from these things. But all along, I guess this is to say that the world is, with data and technology, is becoming so strange. And we're kind of ranting on it, but I want to stay on this because the other day I was working on a series of videos. I didn't record a piece to these videos that I needed to record. So I was like, dang, and then running out of time. And so I'm like, I talked to the editors. I'm like, I can't get this thing done. I got to jump on a plane. I don't know how we're going to recover. Maybe I'll try to re-record, yada, yada. Well, a few hours later, the video editors are like, hey, we just did the voiceover for you in your own voice. And I'm like, did you now? And they said, yes, we promised never to use your voice without asking you, but we have so many samples of your voice. We were able to recreate the voice, and they played it. And I was like, wow, was quite a time saver. I think I'm totally into this.
I love this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, it's that fine line between convenience and safety. And how do you have that balance? It's a tricky thing.
All right. We talked about cybersecurity. What else do you want to talk about today, Kathy?
I do love to golf, but that's probably not down the aisle that we need to.
You know, experiences of all kinds are important. That we learn from everything.
That's right. Well, I've always said that's why I went into sales, so I can improve my golf game.
Fair enough.
So, yeah.
What's your favorite thing about this show?
I have met some incredible people this year. I'm very involved with CC Women, and the speaker lineup that they had this year was just amazing.
CC Women seems to be like the crown jewel of our industry. 100%. I remember when Sandy and folks started that, it was so small, and just to see what it's become, and the solidarity and the expression and the support that you all give each other is just, it kind of makes me jealous that I'm not part of it. I heard there's allies.
Well, there are allies, so you could join them. I think you should look into it. No, it has been, I don't want to sound cliche, but it's truly changed me. And I've been in the business since 2002. I'm getting a little tired. I'm getting towards the point of retirement's not too far off anymore. And you start to kind of slow down. But then I met the people at CC Women, and it really kind of gave me a new, fresh outlook on things and got me excited to get back into work. And to have people that you admire and you work with tell you you're doing a good job or, great job. And it's this friendship and having somebody that calls you when you're a little frustrated, or you can call them and bounce ideas off. It's a community that you don't have everywhere else. And I've truly found my community. It
really was the right group at the right place at the right time. That group. You girls are very lucky to have each other. What else do you enjoy about this show?
I'm a technology geek, so I do seeing all of the different technologies, and I kind of keep notes of who was here the last year or the previous year.
Yes,
and,
do tell insights, please.
I don't know.
Tea, spill the tea.
I'm not going to spill too much tea, but it is interesting to see maybe whose booth has changed size-wise and others that are coming up in the rank. And as I walk by, I unfortunately I'm getting to the point I can pick who's probably not going to be around much longer. It's those that haven't learned to.
All right. You want to go to the dark side of CX. I'll go with you. Here's what I'll say is I love that you are tactful in saying that. I will tell you that I'm normally a feel-good, good vibes, positivity only. But at the end of this year, there's a thought of mine that I want to help the industry understand who's sort of the real deal and who really isn't necessarily everything they say they are or doesn't really walk the walk. And I hate to be that guy, but I start to feel now like as much as I want to celebrate and hype up everyone, people are looking to me like, can I trust this group or should I work with them? And there's several that I would just say no.
Yeah, it's your reputation on the line. And at the end of this show, we'll both have hundreds of emails from different companies. And I want to talk to as many people as possible, but I also need to find the quality companies that are going to be around. I don't want to make recommendations to my clients.
100%. Let's
that somebody's not going to be around.
Agree. Let's play name one company who you wholeheartedly, you're not, first of all, criteria. You cannot get paid by this company to send a referral because that would be bad use of our podcast time.
Yep.
But can you name a company that you feel very strongly about that you do not get paid by, that you feel would be a great solution for anybody who would encounter them? Favorite brand?
Okay. I could say I have some companies that I am currently not receiving any funds from. How about that?
Yes, that's fair.
I've met them along the way.
I think the key honesty factor is you cannot receive a referral fee from them if you recommend them. So as long as you're not getting a referral fee, who do you recommend?
This is tricky because, I've met some companies that I would actually like to have an agreement with where I can start referring them to my clients. Because at the end of the day, when I'm making referrals to my clients, I have to get paid some way. This isn't my hobby. My hobby's golf. So if I'm meeting a technology here that I think is really a great product, I'm going to try and have that engagement where I can make recommendations.
That's interesting.
It's what I do. It's how I pay my bills.
I find that very interesting. This is a topic that's very interesting for us to talk about because I have a policy of not accepting. I don't take referral fees from anyone ever.
Yeah.
It's just like I can't do it.
Well, you've got 300,000 followers. Well, here's the way I look at it as I'm kind of like the travel agent of IT.
Yes.
And if
I
you
love
have
that.
a travel agent, they've got to get paid somehow.
Fair enough.
And here's my expertise. I'm going to shows. I'm spending the time. I'm doing the homework and the legwork for the clients to find the best providers. And if I'm not charging the company, my client, I do need to get paid. So
100% agree. I'm more like a food critic. I don't want to get paid to critique. I just want to go in there, have my own experience, and get out.
And I don't want to be doing podcasts. So the way I'm making my
nevertheless, here we are.
Yep. Oh, I'll let you do the content.
Okay.
So yeah, I want to be the travel agent of IT. I want to make sure my clients, their luggage doesn't get lost. I want to make sure their flight's on time.
I think we should collaborate on a top 10 list of this or that.
I would love it.
We should do that for 2024 because I need a more objective, someone like you who understands what the side-by-side comparisons are, what the value is, maybe pricing, because you will have all of that at your fingertips. Yeah. I'm just more of like, I don't trust them.
Yeah. Well, and it's changed over the years. And that's the other value I feel like I bring to my clients is that, back in the day, I may have suggested company A, B, and C. But you know what? They've had a rough year. They haven't had their installs go very well. They've had a lot of layoffs, and so things are going down. So I might move them out of my portfolio and make those recommendations. So it's constantly changing. So money is not my driving force with who I recommend because it's my reputation on the line. I would rather recommend somebody, they don't have a great referral program, but it's my reputation. And if I recommend somebody that's not going to do the job, I'm going to lose that client. Mm-hmm. And I've got clients I've had for 20 years. Reputations are hard to build. Absolutely. It is interesting, just a little side note, to see some of the big names that have come and gone. And it goes back to if people aren't constantly innovating and changing, they're not going to be here in 2025. Yeah, it's true. And if they're not focused on real value, I don't like the tech bros who come in and try to get numbers up and show post numbers and growth and audiences and all that when they're really just sort of exploiting the industry as much as possible to get more investment money. They're sort of like scammers. Exactly. I'm not into those groups. No. And some of the best companies out there are the smaller ones. 100%. And so that's why I like these shows. I like to go see if, there's some diamonds in the rough out here. I'm at a company, I wish I could remember the name of it. If they hear this and they want to chime in the comments, great. But I'm at this small AI company that was trying to make AI accessible through the browser across. So use the browser as sort of an overlay to applications to tap into them to AI accelerate certain applications. I love this model because
They were doing it sort of just above cost. They weren't trying to raise a bunch of money. They weren't trying to like be .com bros. They were like, hey, we can do this. We have a couple of use cases. It seems to be working. We've made it accessible. You can sort of self-serve or dip your toe in the water. And I love those small companies that are like, we're just trying to solve this for people. If anybody can help us, help them, help you solve this problem. I like those companies better.
I've never wanted to be a tight in my business. I've got a lot of competitors out there that have made a lot of money over the years. I've never wanted to be the number one. I've always wanted to kind of fly under the radar and just do a good job for my clients and not always make the most money, but just know that I'm doing a good job so I can sleep at night. And I'm finding these specialty products and not just always going with the Mercedes of the industry, because not everybody needs a Mercedes.
Fair enough. We're all just trying to, my grandmother used to say, our job is just to help people get from point A to point B. Mercedes or walking or whatever. Yep. Kathy, thank you so much for being on CX in the Wild, this impromptu conversation. Any last words you'd like to share with the audience?
No, I love it. I appreciate you giving me the time, and it's wonderful to finally meet you. This is great. I look forward to 2025.
Yeah, we're going to have to do that. We're going to have to do that industry piece.
10.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right, Kathy.
Anytime.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today. If you'd like to access other podcasts, YouTube videos, or join Dennis on other adventures around the world, be sure to connect with us at www.globalvoiceofcx.com. Until next time, stay curious.